Welcome back to Sportscasters Open Mic. Johnny Kane, joined by the founder and CEO of Sportscaster, Jeff Sloan. What's going on, man?
Johnny, we had a chance to catch up a little bit in the introduction. We're so thrilled to have you on as host of the show. And you had a treat recently where you actually, the tables were flipped.
Yeah.
You were the interviewee, being interviewed by a couple of young aspiring broadcasters who did a phenomenal job. By the way, among the ranks of our all-star sportscasters, the guys you got to watch out for are these two that I'm about to introduce right now. These guys are going places in the broadcasting world. Not to say that others aren't, but they've really demonstrated a real love and passion for broadcasting and certainly for sports broadcasting. And we're thrilled to have them on the sportscasting team. I'm talking about Cooper Schoenberg and his buddy, good friend, and broadcast partner, Carter Lutz. Now, Carter is a broadcast, journalism, and sports administration student at the School of Communications at the University of Miami. And Cooper, you're at Indiana University in the broadcast program as well, right?
Yes, sir.
All
yes,
right,
sir.
Bringing you guys on the show. Good to have you. Now, you had an opportunity to interview Johnny recently. That was fun. Turned out to be a great interview. I'm sure you guys loved it. Got inspired?
I mean, it was unbelievable. I'd characterize it one word: banter. I mean, jokes were flying, communication, camaraderie was there. It was a great time getting to sit down and talk to Johnny.
Carter?
100%. I'll piggyback off that. I mean, Johnny's been around the block in Detroit sports. We're both huge Detroit sports guy. We got to ask about, some of our favorite memories and moments from beyond the years. It was a special time. It was a fun time. And as Cooper said, with the banter, obviously important, obviously a fun part of the interview. So we really enjoyed it.
Right on. We're excited to hear it. Johnny, you ready to hear the interview? I don't think you've heard it yet.
I'm ready.
No, you haven't heard it yet. We had to do a bit of editing.
Some editing, yeah. Yeah, I can understand that part. Yeah, I'm excited.
Piece. It's a great piece, man. And give us, those of us listening to the show right now, listen, it's a great chance to get to know Johnny Kane a little better, the host of our new show, and we're excited to hear it. Let's hear it, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Cooper and Carter back live in the sportscaster.com studio. And we are here with a special man hailing from Ohio, then moving to Kansas. Now he's been in the D since 2015. The man, the myth, the legend, Johnny Kane. Johnny, thank you so much for being here today.
The man.
Hey, man, no, it's good to be with both of you guys, man. This is incredible.
We are fired up. We are
very
fired up.
Let's go.
You've been in Detroit for 10 years now. You seem very comfortable. You seem like it's a perfect fit almost. Big Midwestern guy. You said you were a Cubs fan as well. And
Yeah. Basically, my tour was, so I grew up in Ohio, went to school at Ohio University, go Bobcats. Just won the MAC championship in football for the first time since 1968.
Congratulations.
Also the year of the Tigers. And then went to Kentucky, Kansas, Missouri, now Michigan. So I've had like this Midwest tour, which as you guys go along in your journeys, and as you mentioned, you might have an opportunity coming up to study abroad and do some of these things.
Yep.
You don't know where it's going to go. Like I thought I would be straight to ESPN. I just thought I was ready.
Yep.
Nobody else. I also thought I'd be a college athlete. No college coaches thought that was a good idea. So you never know where it's going to go. But yeah, the Midwest roots run deep. My mom's from Chicago. My dad's from Northwest Ohio, but I grew up in Northwest Ohio. So I did grow up watching a lot of Cubs baseball in addition to the Tigers.
Can you talk to us about coming to Detroit and where you're at right now?
Yeah. So as you guys will go along, as we all do, when you set out in broadcast journalism, you got to be amenable to moving and go where opportunities are. So I was in Kansas, Kentucky, Missouri, worked out of Tennessee for a little bit. And then I remember it was right after the Royals made their World Series run in 2014. I had an agent at the time, and agents are one thing. Anyways, sometimes people, you get an agent and then they present opportunities. And he said, "How do you feel about Detroit?" And I was actually on the verge of potentially taking a job in Boston. And he said, "What are your feelings on Detroit, out of the blue?" And I said, "I love Detroit," because I grew up 100 miles from here. So I grew up in Northwest Ohio, small town outside of Toledo. And at that time, I never wanted to quote unquote come home, but this is the biggest city to where I grew up, like closer than Cleveland, closer than Cincy, closer than Columbus. And so I had such an affinity for Detroit sports teams. And I said, "Man, I love Detroit." He's like, "You do?" I said, "I do." He said, "Okay, here's what the opportunity is." And it was when we were Fox Sports Detroit. He said they'd like to set up an interview. It came out and interviewed that day. Next day, went to Ohio State, Michigan State.
Oh, yeah.
In East Lansing. Big one for the Buckeyes that day.
Mm-hmm.
And they offered me the position. And then I moved in January 2015. And it's, like I said, you never know where you're going to go, how long you're going to be in a certain place. I didn't know how long I was going to be here. And now it's been 10 years in like a blink.
There you go.
And it's unreal. It is a, I don't say this like it's hyperbole. It is a dream job. And this is, I remember they were like, this is one of the best sports cities in the world. And I was like, I know, you don't have to sell me on it.
And
it's true.
I mean, for people our age, sometimes it's hard to believe that. They haven't seen that. They haven't lived that. Starting to come back with the Lions, but it's a true Detroit sports town, a real sports town. And we're just so excited today because we feel like you're almost everything right with sideline reporting and what it should be like. And we think it's really cool, and we're excited to get into it. You know, we read about you wanted to be a play-by-play guy, maybe. You've kind of almost shifted. You're still doing play-by-play, but you've taken on this new identity. And we just want to hear about, you know, taking an idea, taking something and building it into a story. And my favorite interview maybe ever at a game with the pumpkin seed guy, maybe our producer Mark can put it on the screen. But I mean, I think I watched that video maybe 55 times. Unbelievable. Felt like he was a part of the team. He was on the field when they clinched. Maybe you have a specific one you can mention or just talking about that process.
One of the lessons that was bestowed upon me. So I used to work in local TV for 12 years. So I was a local sportscaster. You know, you get your 3 minutes at the end of the night and you'd be on set or you'd go do stories. And I remember my old news directors, it was always, you know, like, hey, go find a human interest story. You know, we want more human interest stories, more features. And you say, okay. And it's tough to find them every day. So it's like, well, there's a high school kid who's battling such and such, and he only has, you know, the use of one leg or whatever. You know, it's like all these things were like, oh, those are great stories. And to try to stockpile those and get them up or whatever, I get it. It's like human interest. That's what you wanted. Within game structure, a lot of the in-game interviews that you set up are totally spontaneous because it's just whatever presents itself. Pumpkin seed guy. My buddy Max, remember Max is super fan with the New York Mets this year with the wild hair and everything. You identify somebody and then when I call vetting the process, you just go to make sure that they're lucid. You know what I mean? Like that. You know, it's like
talk in front of the mic. And,
like, or, you know, not overserved or anything like that. So I'll go over there for like a minute or two and just be like, hey, you know,
get a feel.
Cooper, how you doing? You know, I'm Johnny, whatever. Would you be up for doing a quick in-game thing? And then when I said some of the lesson that was bestowed upon me was always hows and whys. So as a reporter, you always ask, whether it's you're dealing with athletes or individuals, it's like hows and whys, which may sound super elementary, but you know, how'd you get here? Why is it important to you? Why are you doing that? Why are you dressed like this? And it's all, you stem it from that, and then you let the subject go. I never try to go into an interview with like, here's the finish line, and I'm going to steer them to this. It's more of, here we are, and let's see where this thing goes. And so as you try to find interesting people or interesting stories within the game, it's just having an open mind and then just letting it be what it's going to be. And some of them will be memorable. Like some interactions with people will be memorable. Some will just be built into the telecast. And then as people say, well, it's in TV heaven, and then you go on to the next. So you always just try to have an open mind on it. And you just want to be real with people like you guys. Like when you do interviews, when you do anything, whether you're talking to, you know, Tom Izzo or JB Bickerstaff or AJ Hinch or Rob Manfred or me, it's like, just talk normally to people. Just interact in a normal way. And most of the time, people will, if they were guarded at first, like a lot of times it's like, hey, you got 2 minutes? And you're like, sure. What are you going to ask me about? Because people want to be prepared. And when you sit down and it's all this, you know, you get in, and then some people are like, they're guarded. And then it's like, well, we got to do whatever we can do to get a win today. Just a conversation.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you do that with anything. So athletes, fans, whatever. Let them know, you know, it's like a friendly fire. Like, hey, I'm just here. We're just here to talk. Like, we're just going to hang out, and you don't have to worry about the cameras. They're going to be right here, and we'll spot this light up, and we'll clip this mic on and all that. And then all of a sudden, it's like you get people out of their comfort zone. You just want to tell stories, get to know people, have some fun.
Keep them loose.
Keep them loose. Let them loose.
This is kind of, no promo, but this is kind of what Sportscaster is all about. I mean, this is some of the best advice I know I've gotten ever. And for anybody listening out there, this is exactly what you need to hear.
We are so excited to have you on. We know you're such a genuine guy, and So
Appreciate
happy
it.
with how this went. This was awesome.
Yeah,
It's great. I think
appreciate
people
you
will
guys,
love it.
man.
People will love it. You are the man, and
Thanks, man.
we really appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys, man. Thanks a lot.
You're the man.
Appreciate it, boys.